Schools and students taking a hard hit during the pandemic, that we know. We all remember, for instance, those drive-through graduations for students whose high school careers ended right in the middle of the lockdowns.
Also, COVID robbed so many youngsters of what most students remember as precious school years, like time to interact in a classroom setting with peers and with teachers. We've reported about learning losses and the so-called COVID brain drain. But
where do we stand really 5 years later? Here's Eyewitness News reporter Kemberly Richardson.
March 16, 2020, the halls inside all public schools here in Newark went silent.
It was heartbreaking. I will cry at times.
Roughly 35,000 students were initially told to stay home for 2 weeks.
Did you want to go back to school?
Yes, I did.
Did you understand you couldn't?
Yes.
As COVID spread, weeks turned into months. Nothing would ever really be the same.
We saw a huge drop in our test scores when we began testing again after the pandemic was over. Last year we were back up to where we were pre-pandemic levels, but it's taken 5 years to get there.
Amy Panich heads up Park Elementary, but in the spring of 2020, she was a first-time principal at another school in the district.
I really had to start to rethink my whole approach to teaching and to leading a school.
Virtual learning was the norm, using laptops to teach the basics to, say, kindergartners. Maritza tells me it was overwhelming.
I see that you're not holding the pencil with 3 fingers. Can you try? Look at me like this. If you don't know the foundation, then how can you read? How can you comprehend? How can you test?
An example of the garden.
At the time, Janelle was in 3rd grade. Academically, she held her own, but looking back, she realizes all of this took a toll.
I went through a stage of sadness or whatever because I wasn't able to be around my friends. I was isolated, and I would isolate myself from everything else.
But even with all of the change and challenges, there were some silver linings. Jamie says spending time with his wife and 2 kids, which changed in the fall of 2020 when many schools moved to hybrid models.
I was kind of heartbroken because I'm like, oh man, I had them all this time, and you really don't have a chance to do that much with your kids because they're in school, you're at work.
On the technology front,
we are able to use it for many purposes, even just conferencing with a student, giving feedback to students.
To close that gap in learning, this district put in place a range of new programs, everything from tutoring before and after school to Saturday classes.
We are better prepared now, so definitely moving forward, the learning will continue. If something that taught us how to be, it was resilience. Like, let's take action, let's do this.
Kemberly Richardson, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.